I don't even know where to start, honestly. It still feels surreal, losing both of my parents in less than a year, and now dealing with this drama with my siblings on top of it all. But here goes. I'm 45, the middle child in a family of three. My older brother David is 48, my younger sister Lisa is 42. We were a typical family growing up. Not perfect, but close enough. There were birthdays and backyard barbecues, sibling squabbles, inside jokes. Life happened. We grew up. We all moved out, and for a while we just did what most adult siblings do. Occasional check-ins, group texts on holidays, the usual. That all changed about 10 years ago. My dad had a stroke. It wasn't a massive one, but it left him weakened, and it kick-started a slow but steady decline. Mom, who already had arthritis and some early signs of memory issues, started struggling to keep up. At first, they tried to manage on their own, but it became obvious they couldn't. So, I made a decision that would end up defining the next decade of my life. I moved back in with them. At the time, I figured it would be temporary, maybe a few months, just until we got extra help or they stabilized. But anyone who's been a caregiver knows how that goes. The months turn into years. The help never really materializes. And one day you wake up and realize your entire life is centered around medications, hospital visits, cooking soft foods, wiping down countertops, checking blood pressure, and reminding your dad what day it is. My job became part-time and remote. My social life? Basically non-existent. Dating? Forget about it. Every time I thought about taking a weekend for myself, someone had a fall, or forgot their medication, or had a doctor's appointment. And even when things were stable, I felt guilty for even considering stepping away. Now let me talk about David and Lisa. They've always lived out of state. David in Texas, Lisa in Oregon. And yeah, life is busy, I get that. But for 10 years, they visited maybe twice. Twice. They always had some excuse. The kids have school, work's really hectic, flights are so expensive right now, or maybe next month. And sure, they'd call once in a while, check in for 5-10 minutes. But when it came time to actually step up, crickets. I remember one particularly bad weekend. Dad fell in the shower and fractured his hip. I needed someone, anyone, to stay with Mom while I took him to the hospital. I called David in a panic. He said he had a meeting the next morning. I asked Lisa. No answer, just a hex 3 hours later that said, "Oh no, I hope he's okay, I'll call tomorrow." I ended up leaving my mother, who was by then in early stage dementia, with a neighbor, just so I could sit in the ER with Dad all night. That moment stuck with me, not just the exhaustion, but the deep, lonely ache of realizing I was the only one showing up. And yet, I never resented my parents. Not once. I did it because I loved them, because I knew they needed me, and because I couldn't imagine handing them over to strangers when I was capable of helping. Even when it was hard, even when I was crying alone at 2 a.m. because Dad forgot my name or Mom didn't recognize the house, I never wished it away, but I did wish I had help. Last year, Mom passed in February. It was peaceful in her sleep. Dad took it hard, and his own health nosedived afterward. He died that October. Watching them go was like watching the sky go gray and then black. I had no roadmap for what life was supposed to look like afterward. When the will was finally read, I already knew what it said. My parents had told me long ago they were leaving the estate to me. It's not like I asked them to. In fact, I protested. I told them, split it equally. I'm not doing this for a reward. But my mom looked me dead in the eye and said, "You've given up so much. We won't be here to repay you, but this is one way we can try." So they made it clear, in writing, notarized and all, that I was the sole beneficiary. The estate isn't huge. It's a modest house, a small car, some savings and insurance. After taxes, fees, and the cost of a basic funeral, it's enough to help me restart. Maybe finally get a place of my own, maybe go back to school or retrain for something. I'm not rolling in it. I'm just not in survival mode anymore. David and Lisa? They flipped. The moment the lawyer finished reading the will, David muttered, "This is bullshit." Lisa just sat there frozen. A few seconds later, she said, "You can't possibly be keeping it all." I told them gently that it was Mom and Dad's decision, that the will had already gone through probate and been validated by the court, and that the executor, who wasn't me, by the way, had followed all legal steps. Everyone had been notified. No one had objected until now. They called it unfair, said I manipulated Mom and Dad. David accused me of isolating them and turning them against their own children. Lisa said I was dividing the family for money. I tried to stay calm. I said, "You know I was the one here every day. I took care of them. You both had years to show up and didn't." And they just kept saying the same things. Family should stick together. You're being greedy, and even if the roles were reversed, we would have split it with you. That stung. Because I know it's not true. If the roles were reversed, they wouldn't have lasted 6 months, much less 10 years. I've gotten message after message since then, angry texts, snide emails, thinly veiled threats. And now they're talking about suing. Lisa said she talked to a lawyer friend, and they're looking into whether I influenced Mom and Dad during a vulnerable time. But here's the thing. I respected the process. The will was legal. It went through probate. There was no coercion, no secrecy. Just my parents making a conscious choice about how to say thank you. That's all it was. And yet part of me still feels conflicted. Not about the money, not really, but about whether I'm now some kind of villain in my family's eyes. I've always thought of myself as the responsible one, the caretaker, the glue, and now they talk to me like I'm a traitor. But at the end of the day, I have to go back to what's true. They weren't here, they didn't change diapers when Dad lost control. They didn't sit through hours of medical appointments, or spend nights researching Medicaid loopholes, or spoon-feed Mom pureed food while she cried. They weren't the ones holding our parents' hands when they passed. I was. I'm not saying that means I deserve the moon and stars, but I am saying my parents saw me. They saw the cost of what I gave, and they chose to honor that. So, yeah, I kept the inheritance. Every penny. And if David and Lisa want to take it to court, I'm ready. Not because I want to fight, but because I'm not going to apologize for respecting my parents' wishes. I loved them. I showed up, and I did what was right by them. Now, I'm doing what's right by me. So, what do you think? Was I right to keep the inheritance, or should I have split it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm reading every one.